Okay, so let's start seated, as we usually do. Having the feet firmly planted on the ground. Getting a sense that both sit bones are evenly distributed. Your body weight is evenly on both sides. Might feel good to fidget or wiggle a little bit, swaying side to side, forward to back, and just finding your center. And then settling in. Maybe taking a few breaths, letting the shoulders melt down any amount. Imagining that you could lengthen the spine up. And breathing. Taking some time here just to connect with your breath. Eyes can be open or closed. Palms can rest face down or face up. Maybe allowing some softness in the belly and allowing the breath to flow smoothly and easily. Noticing the length of your breaths. Is your breath slow? Is it fast? Is it more up in your throat and chest? Or is it going a little deeper down into ribs and belly? Just giving yourself time to notice these things, paying attention. Just breathing. Feeling the sensation of the soles of your feet on the floor. Feeling your sit bones heavy on the chair. And feeling the backs of your thighs resting down. Moving through the body, let's start from the ground up. Softening the feet and toes. Letting there be a bit of heaviness, a little bit of softness. Softness in the heel, the ankle. Let there be a sense of heaviness to the shin bone, resting down into your ankle, supported by your feet. Finding some softness in the knees, in the thigh bones. Softness in the pelvis, the bottom, the low belly, the hips. Finding softness in the abdomen, the side body, the low back. Maybe finding some softness in the rib cage, all the way around, front ribs, along the sides, and all the way back to where your ribs attach to your spine. As you breathe, allowing the whole rib cage to expand. Allowing the shoulders and chest, the upper back to be soft. Letting the upper arms and elbows be soft. Forearms and hands. Noticing any sensations in the backs of the hands, the palms of the hands. Moving up into the neck, finding some softness in the throat, length in the back of the neck. Softness in the jaw, the back of the skull, the skin of the face, around the eyes, nose, and cheeks. Letting the forehead be soft. Letting the skull, the skin of the skull, the crown of your head feel soft, relaxed. Breathing here for a few more moments in this tall seat, softening the body. When you're ready, with an exhale, slowly, slowly tipping the chin down towards the chest. And as you inhale, lifting the chin, lifting the head, and maybe tipping the head towards the ceiling. Exhaling again to bring the chin down towards the chest. Moving with your breath. Maybe once more in each direction, following your breath. And eventually making your way back to center. No rush to come back to center. And pausing once you arrive to notice sensations. Then let's tip the head on a diagonal. Eyes can stay closed if they feel good. Inhaling with the head facing forward. As you exhale, tipping the ear towards the shoulder, one direction. Maybe holding here for a breath or two. Maybe the opposite shoulder feels a bit heavy. When you're ready, inhaling back to center. And then exhaling, other ear towards other shoulder. And again, maybe the opposite shoulder feels a bit heavy. Continuing to breathe, feeling the stretch along the outside of your neck. And when you're ready, coming back to center. Giving yourself a breath between movements, noticing sensation. And then we'll turn the head. Inhaling here, taking a couple of breaths, noticing sensation. When you're ready and on an exhale, keeping the chin parallel, we'll turn the head towards one side. Inhaling back to center when you're ready. And exhaling to the other side. Inhaling back to center as your inhale arrives. And continuing to move with your breath. Feeling into your body. Noticing any areas of stickiness, any areas that feel a little more stuck than others. And noticing where your body moves very easily also. Not judging in any way, but just noticing. But one more time on each side, and when you feel even, making your way back to center. Noticing sensations once you arrive, feeling the neck. Noticing where the sensations come up. It might be a little bit in the base of the skull, it might be a little bit in the shoulders, just noticing. And then let's move into the arms or shoulders a little bit, down to the shoulders. So hands can either stay on the lap wherever they feel good, they can lift a little bit, and we'll move into some shoulder rolls. Whichever direction feels right. to begin. And then let's switch the direction of the shoulder rolls. Releasing your hands back to your lap when you're ready. And let's move into the arms a little bit. Stretching the fingers forward so that the palms of the hands are facing the floor. And then with an inhale, let's draw the elbows back, keeping the arms about parallel with the floor, as though you were squeezing your elbows back behind you. Then exhale to reach the fingertips forward again. And inhaling to draw the elbows back. Feeling as though you could squeeze the shoulder blades back behind you. Exhaling to reach forward. Inhaling to draw shoulder blades towards each other. Moving with your breath. A few more times. After your next inhale, releasing the hands back to your lap. And noticing sensations wherever you felt it, maybe along the arms, maybe in the shoulders again, maybe there's some activity in the upper back. Noticing, giving yourself the time. Let's sweep the arms out to the sides in a wide T shape. From here, flipping the palms up and inhaling again to reach the arms up as far as they feel okay to go. Maybe it's just a little bit of a wide V, maybe your hands come closer together, maybe they meet all the way above. Really, the direction and the result doesn't matter. Breathing here and reaching up as far as it feels okay for your shoulders. Fingertips reaching up towards the ceiling or in whichever direction they're headed. Imagining you could lengthen your side body, letting the sit bones be heavy and reaching your side body along with your arms. Feet are planted. And then let's release the arms on an exhale, letting them float back down towards your sides and releasing to your lap. Noticing upper arms, maybe shoulders. Maybe there's some little bits of tingly sensation all the way along your arms, just noticing. And let's move down into the spine a little bit. Let's start off with a gentle twist. Sitting up nice and tall. And then we'll start to walk the hands over towards the left side. And the left hand might reach back behind you beside your hip. Finding that tall seat again before we turn, inhaling. As you exhale, turning the shoulders towards the left. You could use your thigh and the resistance between your thigh and hand to find a little bit of leverage, but we don't want to crank into the twist. Let it be gentle. Remembering to breathe. And if it would feel good for the neck, maybe looking over the left shoulder. When you're ready, unwinding with an inhale, making your way back to center. Pausing for a moment here in center, noticing any difference from one side of the body to the other. And then we'll set up on the other side, letting the left hand come over to the right thigh or knee. Right hand might sweep back beside your hip. Inhaling tall before we twist, and then exhaling to turn the shoulders towards the right. Again, you might find a little bit of leverage between your hand and the thigh, but we're not cranking into the twist. Let it be gentle. Remembering to breathe. And if it would feel good for the neck, you could look over the right shoulder. When you're ready with an inhale, coming back to center, unwinding. Noticing sensations. Let's come back to our hands overhead. We'll do the beach ball variation of our side bend today. So starting with hands down beside you, and then we'll sweep the arms up as much as feels okay, as high as they want to go. When you find your perfect variation, imagine you're squeezing a giant ball, whatever size fits in your arms. Breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. Sit bones reaching down, reaching into the side body along with your arms. When your next exhale arrives, let's tip over to one side. Inhaling back up. Exhaling other side. Keeping the body firm, keeping the feet firm, the legs firm. Twice more on each side if it feels okay, but knowing you can stop at any point. This is your practice. Last one each side. And releasing the arms back down to your sides. We've made the arms work quite a bit. If it would feel good to wiggle, or maybe a shoulder roll, or a little shake of the hands, finding any of that movement. Let's move into our the rest of our spine, arching and rounding the back. So I'll turn sideways. Setting yourself up so you've got your firm seat, your firm legs, crown of the head reaching up, this tall and neutral spine to begin. And finding your breath again, inhaling and exhaling here. When your next inhale arrives, we'll draw the chest forward. The belly often comes with it, and maybe gazing up towards the far corner of the room. As you exhale, rounding the spine, pushing the knees or thighs away, and pulling the belly back towards the back of the chair. Inhaling again into cow, chest comes forward, gaze lifts, shoulder blades pull towards each other. Exhaling to round the spine, Halloween cat shape. About 2 more cycles, moving with your own breath. And then making your way back to center as you're ready. Finding that tall and neutral spine again and giving yourself a moment to notice sensation. And then we're going to move into the pelvis a little bit today. So bringing your hands to kind of the rim of your pelvis. You can kind of feel the front of the hip bones maybe, and on the back, just sort of in line. I don't feel any bones back there that I can name. So imagining that your pelvis is a bowl full of water, and you're using your hands or helping your hand, or your hands are helping you move. We'll tip the bowl of water forward to pour forward, then coming back to center. And then we'll tip the bowl backwards, pouring it out the back. And then coming back to center. Pouring the water forward would be anterior tilt, forward tilt. Coming back to center. Tilting the water bowl, the pelvis, backwards, and posterior tilt. And then coming back to center. So just playing with this movement a little bit. Tilting forward, tilting back. Seeing how much movement you have in your pelvis, how it feels. So sometimes in some poses we'll say, imagine sending the tailbone down towards the floor or the heels. And the idea is that we're slightly tilting the bowl of the pelvis backwards. Almost like you're drawing your hip bones and your low ribs together in the front. Just noticing the different positions of your body as you tilt the pelvis. And then coming back to neutral when you're ready. Releasing the hands, finding the neutral spine, finding that the sit bones are back to being balanced, finding your center point, and then noticing any sensations. Let's move into the legs. You're gonna have to move over, Luna Puna. Shifting forward a little bit on your chair so that the sit bones are a little closer to the edge of the chair, but that's so you're still stable. As soon as I move my right foot, she's probably gonna jump up and run away. We will see. We'll start with the left foot. So bringing your left thigh up towards you, either holding underneath the thigh, maybe around the shin or around the knee. And let's find a little bit of internal and external rotation, which we did last week. Sort of swinging the leg like a pendulum. So you're actually moving the thigh bone in the hip a little bit. And then today we'll get into flexion and extension, the knee moving forward and backwards. Releasing the pendulum swing, letting your leg hang down again. And then we'll start to move the knee in circles, moving the thigh bone in the hip socket. As big or small circles can be, however, whatever size you wish. And let's switch directions. I feel like my words are mixed up today. Then coming back to a more or less neutral position. For Luna's sake, I'm going to stick with the left leg for a moment more. And finding some ankle circles in the foot. Switching directions. And then pointing and flexing the foot a few times. And then we'll release left foot down to the floor. And lifting the right foot. Oh, no movement yet. We'll start with the pendulum swing. Letting the shin and the foot swing from side to side, finding a bit of movement in the thigh bone. And then shifting where you're holding your knee for hip circles, maybe around the knee or shin, or it still feels good to hold underneath the thigh. Oh, my hip circles are going to be quite high. She's claimed my mat today. Switching directions when you're ready. Oh, you think you're going to get a belly rub. Making your way back to a fairly neutral position, bringing the knee back forward. And let's move into our ankle circles, right side. Switching directions as you're ready. We'll point and flex the foot a few times. And then release right foot down to the mat. Noticing sensations in both legs and both feet. All right, let's move into our sun salutations. I'm gonna have to disturb her now. Luna, you're gonna have to move, little one. There you go, yeah, just a little bit. All right, I'll move the chair. You just wanna stay, okay. Setting yourself up for your sun salutations, whether that means knees are wide or knees are still narrow, depending if it would feel good to have your torso have space to come through your legs with the forward fold. And we always have arm variations, so it might feel good to sweep the arms down and wide, or maybe shoulder height, maybe up in a wide V, or maybe overhead, maybe palms touch, so anywhere along this continuum. As you're ready, we'll sweep arms with an inhale. Exhaling to bring hands back to your thighs. With an inhale, drawing chest and belly forward, cow pose. Exhaling to round the spine like a Halloween cat. Inhaling back to a tall spine, neutral spine. And exhaling to fold forward, maybe forearms to thighs, fingertips to shins, or fingertips to the floor. With an inhale, we'll sweep the right arm into a twist. Exhaling the right arm back down. Inhaling the left arm up into a twist. Exhaling, left arm back down. Our next inhale will sweep both arms, bringing us back to a tall seat. And exhaling, hands to your thighs once more. We'll do 2 more, so choosing your second variation, whether knees stay wide, maybe choosing another hand variation, and off we go again when you're ready. Inhaling to sweep arms wherever they're headed. Exhaling, hands back to the thighs. Inhaling, chest to belly forward, cow pose, gaze lifts. Exhaling to round the spine, Halloween cat shape. Inhaling back to a tall and neutral spine. And exhaling to fold forward, maybe forearms to thighs, fingertips might trace the shins, or hands might come to the floor. With an inhale, sweeping the right arm up and overhead. Exhaling the right arm back down. Inhale, left arm sweeps up into a twist. Exhaling the left arm back down. Inhaling, both arms sweep us back into a tall seat. And exhaling, hands back to thighs. Last variation, adjusting legs if they want to be adjusted. They can always stay where they are. Choosing your last hand variation. And as we're ready, inhaling to sweep arms wherever they're headed. Exhaling, hands to thighs. Inhaling to draw chest and belly forward, cow pose. Exhaling to round the spine, Halloween cat. Coming back to neutral spine on your inhale. Exhaling to fold forward. Inhaling, right arm up into a twist. Exhaling, right arm back down. Inhale, left arm up into a twist. Exhaling the left arm back down. Inhaling both arms wherever they're headed, coming back to a tall seat. Exhaling, hands to thighs. Noticing any flow of energy or sensations. Okay, we're going to work a little bit on the front body stretch. So when we talked about internal and external rotation of the thigh rotating, now we're going to do the other 2 directions. So flexion is when the knee comes closer to your body, which we do a lot of because we sit a lot, right? This is a more normal position. And extension is when we send stretch into this front hip muscle. It's when we send the leg back behind us. And the reason we worked on our pelvis tilts this morning is because the tendency when you send your leg back is to make it a back bend. It's not always the leg that does the work. We often go right into the low back, which tends to move fairly easily. So we'll start off seated, sideways on the chair. Let's have the right, well, it doesn't really matter which leg. I'm going to have my right leg towards the edge of the chair. I have my left arm securing the backrest for stability. And then we'll start to tiptoe the right foot back any amount. So maybe the knee stays a little bit forward, or maybe you can walk it back so it's more or less straight in line with your body. And here's where we start to bring the pelvis into the mix, because we want to make sure we don't start to tilt the pelvis forward and go more into our low back. So we're stretching out the low back, tipping the pelvis. If it's a bowl of water, we're tipping the water backwards a little bit. And maybe that's enough to find a little bit of a stretch in the front of the right hip. If there's no feeling or sensation in the front of the right hip yet, you can tiptoe or scooch your right foot back any amount. And then once you have a bit of stretch in the front of the right hip, we're just breathing here for a few moments. If it would feel good to reach the right arm up, that's an option, one variation. But keeping your awareness on the pelvis and the front of the hip. One more breath here. If the arm is raised, let's release it. And then let's bring the right knee forward again. Giving yourself a moment, noticing sensation, one hip to the other, front of the hips. Maybe there's more sensation happening along the leg. And then we'll switch directions. So turning all the way around so that the left leg is towards the outside or the front edge of the chair. And setting yourself up, letting the right arm hold the backrest so that you're secure. And then we'll start to walk the left knee back. So the knee might stay a little bit forward and you might already find a little bit of stretch in the front of the left hip, or you might need to scoop your left toes back a little more. As soon as you start to feel anything in the front of the left hip, let's check in with the pelvis. So noticing, are we tipping the pelvis forward and crunching into the low back? Can we tip the pelvis backwards a little bit? And then deciding, is this a good place to stay? If you're looking for more sensation, maybe walking the left toes back just a little more. And breathing. Maybe reaching left arm up if that would feel good. Not losing awareness of the position of the pelvis. Another breath or two. And then let's release the hand, releasing the toes, releasing the knee, bringing it forward again. Turning forward in your chair. Giving yourself a moment, noticing sensation. And then we'll come to standing. So let's face the backrest of the chair this morning. Starting off on both feet, feeling strong. Both feet planted. They can be as far apart as feels good, hip width distance or maybe wider. They can also be more narrow if that feels good. Just finding your stable distance. Letting the hands rest gently on the backrest of the chair. And then let's start with the left side again. I'm going to turn around. Did we start? No, we started with the right leg. Never mind. I'll stay exactly where I am. Let's step the right toes back. So maybe the toes stay on the floor. This is a good place to stay. And then noticing just by this movement, just one step back, my pelvis already wants to tilt forward. I'm going right into my low back. So adjusting the bowl of my pelvis, tipping the water backwards rather than forwards. And then noticing, is there a bit of sensation, a bit of stretch along the outside of the right hip? Maybe rather than toes on the floor or toes tucked on the floor, could we come onto toenails? Would it serve you, would it feel good to reach the right arm up and overhead? Breathing. How would it feel? Maybe this is crazy. How would it feel to maybe lift the back toes? Turning it into a balance. One more breath if you're here with me. And then let's release the arm, releasing the toes, stepping both feet forward again. Finding any wiggling that would feel good. And we'll switch directions, other side. You can just stay where you are using the other leg if it would feel good. I'll turn so that you can see what I'm doing. Setting up, both feet strong. Nice tall spine. Everything's sort of strong and neutral. And then we'll step the left toes back. And noticing. How does your low back feel? Have we already tilted the pelvis forward? So adjusting. Tilting the pelvis a little bit back, or like we sometimes say, tailbone down towards the floor. From here, how would it feel to reach left arm up? Maybe we're adjusting the back toes. How would it feel, rather than being on the tucked toes, to come onto the top of the foot so that the toenails are down? Not losing the pelvis, keeping the pelvis tilting more backwards than forwards. Okay, and then from here, the crazy variation. Maybe we lift the back toes. Maybe that's not happening today. Maybe just the intention to lift the toes is there. Breathing. One more breath. And then releasing the arm, releasing the foot back in line with the other foot, finding any wiggling that would feel good. Ah, beautiful. Let's do one more time each side, just because we're doing it. We're playing. Back to the right side. Both hands starting off on the chair. Stepping the right toes back. So any variation, whether you would prefer to stay with toes on the floor, toenails on the floor, or lifting the leg. Any of the variations, adjusting the pelvis. If you find that you're crunching the low back, if the pelvis is tilted forward, let's bring it back. And then maybe reaching right arm up. And breathing. Maybe 3 cycles of breath if it feels okay. Knowing you can come out anytime you want to. And then let's release. Release the arms. Release the foot back. Finding a little wiggle. Here we're doing our front body stretch and balance all in one. Finding your reset. Both feet strong. Tall spine. Soft hands. Couple of breaths. And then we'll step the left toes back and deciding which variation you'd like to choose for this side. Maybe the toes stay tucked. Maybe you come onto the toenails, top of the foot, or maybe the toes lift. Adjusting your pelvis if you find that we're moving into the low back rather than the front of the hip. And then maybe reaching left arm up and breathing. One more breath cycle maybe. Knowing you can come out whenever you like. And then releasing the arm, releasing the foot. Again, finding any wiggling that would feel good. And while we're here, facing the backrest of the chair, let's find our chair version of a down dog. Feet wide, walking back. Knees can be bent. Stretching into the spine, reaching the tailbone in one direction, crown of the head in the other. Finding length here. Traction for the spine. It might feel good to sway from one leg to the other a little bit. Might feel good just to find some stillness. If it feels good to be here, staying for another 2 breaths or so, but knowing you can come out anytime. And then slowly coming forward. Coming back to standing. As you arrive, making any adjustments that would feel good, any movements. Maybe shaking out the hands would feel good, maybe a full body shimmy. Finding your breath again. And then let's make our way down to seated. As we arrive in seated, let's finish class with a little bit of a hand massage. So using whichever hand you prefer to use first, I'm going to use my right hand to massage the left. I'm going to start at the base of my thumb. So using my right thumb on the palm side of my hand, just to massage the base of my thumb. Sort of a weird angle. And then we'll move over to the base of the first finger. And the middle finger. The ring finger. The pinky finger. Spending a little bit of time right in the middle of the palm. Maybe the heel of the hand. And switching hands, starting to massage, using the thumb of the left hand to massage the base of the right thumb. I find usually my thumb needs the most attention. I usually spend a little extra time there. Then when you're ready, moving to the base of the first finger. The middle finger. The ring finger. And the pinky. Massaging the middle of the palm. And spending some time on the heel of the hand. And it might feel good to interlace the fingers and just kind of wiggling them around, pushing them into the base of each other. Kind of finding a bit of separation, wiggling, maybe moving the palms, getting into the wrists a little bit. And then shaking it out when you're ready. Finding a comfortable seat. Maybe nothing so rigid, or maybe not the tall and neutral unless that's where it feels good. Maybe allowing yourself to rest against the backrest of the chair for the last moments. And letting the hands rest wherever they feel good. Again, could be palms up or palms down. Palms up is usually a little more open to receive, and palms down is usually a little more grounding. And coming back to the breath. Maybe finding some softness in the forehead and face. Softness in the shoulders. Maybe some softness in the breath. And as we sit here breathing, maybe just moving through your body and noticing any areas that have particular sensation. Maybe noticing feelings if they're coming up. Or thoughts. Just noticing what happens to be arising at the moment. Spending a few more breaths here. And slowly, as you're ready, fluttering eyes open if they're closed. Coming back to the room. To close practice, maybe hands come to heart center or in prayer position. Sending gratitude to yourself, first of all, thanking yourself for making the time to honor your body and breath and to move together in community. Thank you for allowing me to guide you through this practice this morning. And with gratitude to all the students and teachers who have come before us. Peace. Stop the recording.